Hopscotch. Kate is usually on here interviewing, but we are having wildfires in Texas and they're taking out internet. And so Kate is really sorry she couldn't be here today, but I am going to be interviewing Jennifer today, and I'm going to let her kind of tell us a little bit about herself. So Jennifer, tell us about you.
Hi. Well, I am a homeschool mom of 4. We've been homeschooling for about 10 years. I guess officially 10 years, but we did 1 year unofficially. So my oldest is in high school. My youngest is a toddler. And I work from home as a copywriter and virtual assistant. So I am a virtual assistant, but my focus is copywriting.
Awesome. So what is that?
Well, it's an interesting thing because for years I always wanted to be a writer, and I would go through and look for jobs and I'd see copywriting, and I kept thinking, I don't know what that meant. I kept thinking it was copywriting, like, to keep people from stealing your work. And I thought, why does this keep showing up under writing jobs? And through the years, I took different freelance jobs, like writing for magazines, ghostwriting. That's actually how I got my start, with ghostwriting. And it led me down a path to becoming a virtual assistant. And so once I started doing that and got into communities and started seeing what other writing opportunities there were, I realized that copywriting is just writing anything for like a website, a brochure, anything that goes out there. So like other than journalism, it's basically copywriting is any writing that isn't journalism. So if it's not in a newspaper or a magazine, it's considered copy. So anything that you read on a packaging or on a website or in a brochure would be considered copy.
Okay. I mean, I kind of thought the same thing when I saw copywriting, like, oh, that's what lawyers or people. Yeah. Awesome. I had no idea. So how did you get started doing this? I mean, you said you did freelance work, and is that kind of what funneled you into this, or how did that happen?
Yes, well, I was looking for something obviously to do from home because I had children at home, and I wanted to be able to work from home. It's so hard to get babysitting, and as homeschool moms, we do have expenses and we want to work, but your main job is teaching them. I tell everybody, like, that is a job. You're teaching them and keeping them alive all day long. So I started actually looking online and found all the scams. And then I happened to be on Craigslist, of all places, and found someone that was looking for a ghostwriter, which I had never done before. But I sent him a writing sample, and he hired me, and I ghost wrote for Mental Floss for quite a while. And from there, since that kind of built my confidence in writing online, I took different jobs blogging. In the beginning, a lot of them weren't paid, but they gave me the chance to get my name out there. I think I had experience and to put it in my portfolio. And from there, it led to applying for magazines and such. So I've written for many different genres. I've blogged, I've written for magazines. And also now I'm doing copywriting. So my main focus is helping new entrepreneurs with their website copy. So I do product descriptions and about pages, sales pages, those types of things, email sequences.
Very cool. So how long have you been doing this?
Well, if you go from when I started ghostwriting, it's about 8 years or so. Wow. But I didn't really turn it into like I guess more of a career, if you want to call it that, until about 3 or 4 years ago. That's when I really got serious about it. Okay. Because like we talked about before, it's hard to find legitimate opportunities. And so I had to kind of funnel my way through and figure out what I wanted to do and get started in that.
Great. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I wake up at 5-ish, usually closer, between 5 and 5:30. I aim for 5. It just doesn't always happen. It depends on how much the little one is up during the night. And I try to, part of my copywriting for some of my clients is doing their social media work. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, because I put together the posts and put them up because that's considered copy as well. So I do whatever social media I can because I can do that on my tablet, even if I'm nursing the baby or, trying to get her back to sleep. And then once I get her settled, then I get up and start working. And I usually work from, in the summer, I've been going till about 10:30 because that's when I take the kids to swim lessons. But during the school year, I try to aim between 9:30 and 10. This way they get their schoolwork started and do their independent stuff. And then I move on to working with the little ones and then helping everybody individually.
Awesome.
So I usually get, I guess, about 4 to 5 hours in the morning.
Great. So you're really able to fit it into the nooks and crannies of mom/homeschool mom.
Yes. And then once we get through the school day, they've had lunch or whatever, and we finish, there's always that kind of lull when they're looking to entertain themselves. And so I send them to entertain themselves, and I'll work another hour to 3 hours, depending on what I have to do. There's
Awesome.
some days that I only do 2 hours because of our schedule. There's some days that I do 8 or 9. So it is definitely flexible, and I make my own schedule. So that's helpful.
Awesome. Great. So I guess that was my next question about how many hours a week do you typically work?
Um, at the minimum, about 20 hours. On a busy week, it's about 35,
Oh,
which that is really difficult. And I'm trying, really 20 to 25 is what I aim for, just because it does get difficult with their activities in school and keeping up. But yes, I have done up to 35 hours. So I usually do 6 days. Like I work a half day on Saturday
I see.
to keep up with it. Yeah.
So then what training do you feel like, I assume there's no required training, but what training do you feel like is beneficial for this?
Well, you need a good command of the English language. So if I was a trained writing tutor, so I always loved to write. I guess that's kind of one of my gifts, but I also was trained as a writing tutor. So I knew a lot going into this about writing construction and such. But I did need to learn how to write for the internet because it's very different um, than writing a book or a magazine or journalism, which is mostly what I was trained in essays. The internet, they like a lot of white space,
Mhm.
and you need to kind of get to the point. So there are classes on writing copy. I've taken some of them just because even though I knew a lot about writing, I needed to change my style. This way I could work online. And I know Udemy has some really good courses just to learn about construction as far as website writing or even writing emails. There are courses on email sequences. And I highly recommend, even if you don't plan on doing social media management, but taking some social digital marketing courses. I took quite a few on Udemy, and that was the big one, but other places, just so that I could understand how the digital world worked. Because if you're going to be working online, it does help just to know what people are looking for. So even if you're not managing Facebook, you understand how Facebook works, and then that's another feather in your cap to
Yeah.
work with people. Because I know there's some people that I just write copy for their Facebook ads. So I took a class on Facebook ads, and I put together a little graphic and I write up the copy, and that's a job there.
Awesome. Yeah, completely. Well, good. That's good to know. So there are options out there for someone who wants to really build their skill set in something like this.
Yes.
So then
Yes.
if someone was, so you've kind of done this as a progression over 8 years. If someone wanted to start today, how would you tell them? How would they get started?
The first thing I would recommend is to get on Facebook, which I wish I'd known this years ago when I got on Facebook, is there are so many groups for entrepreneurs and different styles of entrepreneur work. But I feel like those groups have really, that's what pushed me from just finding like a job here and there to actually building it into a business and growing it. And that's where I find most of my work is working with other entrepreneurs. So if you're on Facebook, and you can find a, a group, like there's Boss Moms, or if you look up Mompreneur, there's so many different variations on that title. You can find other moms who work from home and learn from them. And there's quite a bit of free training on there. There's also some paid courses. So you could do it through the free training if you really don't have the money, but I highly recommend you trying out the groups, finding one that you really click with, whoever's running it, and then seeing what kind of paid training they have, because that's going to move you further more quickly. It's worth paying the couple $100 to learn everything at once and to get the support, because now you have that person that you have access to them and you can get in touch to build it. So I would say look for an entrepreneurial group, especially one that specializes in virtual assistants
Okay.
and moms,
Awesome.
because the mom ones realize that you're balancing, working and mom. So you get a lot of support that way.
Very cool. And any recommendations that you want to provide, we can have links to
Okay,
in the post. So.
sounds great. Yes.
So then how do you market yourself? I assume you have to kind of market yourself, or do you apply for things? How do you do that?
Yes, well, it's a little bit of both. I do have a website. It's not anything fancy, but I set up a very low budget website, and you can do that for very minimal money. Um, and what I have on there is just like my contact info, so they can click something and get on my calendar to talk to me. They can email me. I have my portfolio, which is very essential. Like if you want to be a writer, you have to have a portfolio. So if you don't have one, you can do writing samples. Like if you've never written before, you can still just do writing samples and post them. Or one of the best ways to do it is to go in one of these groups, and they usually have swap days or collaboration days. It's called different things in different groups, but offer to write something and ask for a testimonial in return. So now you have something to put in your portfolio, and you also have a testimonial that you can put on your website. And so the website, that it has my sales page, but it's very bare bones, and that's just where I send potential clients. So that's a key to marketing yourself. Most of my marketing, though, goes on in the groups when they have promo days, or if someone puts something up and says, hey, I need to write this and I have no idea, then I respond. And you're not going to get a client every single time, because sometimes there's 60 people that respond. But over the time, you will pick people up. And now I've started where I have clients who are coming back or giving me recommendations. And that's when you really start to move along. So you have to be patient in the beginning and build it up. And you may have to work for free for a few months, but don't see it as free, because really what it is it's paying into your business. Like you're getting for free, even though you're giving for free.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
investing.
Yes. Yes.
Great. Awesome. So then what do you feel like the startup kind of cost would be if someone were wanting to start? What would be some of the costs they could expect?
Well, the website, and I'll give you a link to Namecheap, because that's where I have actually two businesses going. But that's the website that I would recommend. My first website for my copywriting business, I will probably move someplace else because I wasn't happy with that service. But Namecheap has and there's other ones too, has very reasonable packages, especially for you're just starting out. A lot of the website companies will give you great deals the first year because they want you to sign up. So I would say that all told, with everything that I needed for my website, it was under $50. I would say probably under $40. So I would budget like $40 to $50 for your website, because you want to have that, especially when you're looking for things online. People want a link to go to. They don't want to just take your word that they want to go to a link and know that you have a website that's put together. So I would that's like $50. And other than that, a good course is essential to really knowing what you're doing. Udemy has fantastic deals, especially like on Black Friday or any kind of holiday. They'll have a course for like $9 that sometimes costs about $100. Like the digital marketing course that I recommend was, I think, 15 courses in one, and I got it on Black Friday, I think, for $7. And it was a great base. So then I could go through it and see what else I needed to work on, or if I have something a client wants, I can go and do other courses. But most of the courses with a good business coach, you don't need that necessarily to get started, but I would suggest you do that within the first year to really get you going, because they're going to teach you what you need to know. That can run anywhere from $200 to $1,000. It really depends on how much you want to invest. But if you have like $250 and you are gun ho and really want to go, you can definitely get a business up and running in a short amount of time.
Awesome. Okay. And so to get a little personal, you don't
Uh-huh.
have to tell us the exact amount that you make every month, but do you typically make over 500 or over 1,000, over 2,000? Just in general, what can people expect once they become established?
You can easily make, just starting out, like $20 an hour. Most copywriting is 10 cents a word. That's a standard starting price. However, once you get established, there are copywriters that get 45 cents a word. That's going to take a while to get there. But 10 cents a word, if you are efficient, you can easily make $20 to $40 an hour. Once you understand, once I understood how to put together a blog post or how to put together a sales page, now I can do them very quickly. In the beginning, it would take me a few hours to really get my format down. But once you learn that, I could do 2 sales pages in an hour. And I get paid anywhere between $150 and $250 for a sales page.
Great. So
It took me a while to get to that. I started out just charging $50, and then as you get projects, you build up. But it is something that you could definitely do very part-time and make a decent income.
great. Good. Thank you for that. So then what do you feel like is the hardest part of this job?
I think the hardest part is promoting yourself. I am really good at writing about pages and sales pages and such, but for me to write for myself is harder. I actually almost hired a copywriter to do my website because it was just hard for me to sell myself. So I think learning to be able to market yourself in the Facebook groups, because there's lots of opportunities there, and knowing which groups to get into. I think you need to kind of try a lot out and be willing to walk away from the ones that don't work. That's been the biggest learning curve for me, using the technology to push my business forward.
Got it. All right. And so then what do you feel like is the best part of your job?
The best part is that I do make my own hours. And I mean, I really make my own hours. I've had some jobs where they say, oh, it's flexible because you can schedule yourself. But really, that's not flexible, because when I was doing a schedule 1 and 2 months out, I didn't know that the baby was going to have a stomach virus, or, this birthday party was going to come up. And then I was always scrambling to figure out what to do with the kid. Now I actually set my schedule. I mean, other than calls like discovery calls or a call like this, which I still set that up. Every day I can just sit down and say, okay, these are the hours I'm working. And if I have to, something comes up and, life implodes, I can work at night, or I can work in the morning, or I can work on Sunday if I have to. I really have a whole lot of flexibility. I can decide that, this month I'm not taking on any one or off clients, which basically means you just do a project and you're done. I'm just going to stick with my retainer clients because I just don't have a lot of time. For Christmas, I took off a whole week, and I didn't have to ask anybody's permission to do that. I just knew what projects I had to do. I finished them ahead of time, and I didn't take on any more clients for the second half of December. So it really is a whole lot of flexibility. And if I have to, I work with the baby on my lap, or, while the kids are making a snack, I can supervise them and do my work at the same time, and nobody knows
Yeah.
except for me. So that's really the best part. That I always say that if I had to be in the office and do my job, it would never work, because people would be like, "What is this insanity?" So I can work in the kitchen and supervise everything, and I don't have to worry about babysitting or anything like that, and still get my work done and make money.
Awesome. And so then what if you met someone who was like, I love everything you just said and I can't wait to start, what is your best piece of advice for them?
My best piece of advice would be to find a good entrepreneurial group. I have to say that like I said, I started like 8 years ago, but I just started in those groups about a year ago, and I've made so much more progress being in those groups and being able to interact with other people and meet other people, collaborate, swap services. When I needed help with my WordPress site, I was like, okay, I will write an about page for you. Can you design this for me? And that's really how I built my business for very little money, because I've used my skills to get someone else's skills. And so it's built my portfolio, it's built my reputation, and it's helped me get what I want without investing, $7,000 to get a website built. So those groups are invaluable. And I will give you a list of a few of them, but there's so many, I just keep finding more. And there are some for homeschoolers who are working, which is even better.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Jennifer, anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it for right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time, and everything that Jennifer talked about and stuff, obviously there are links in the show notes. And so
Yes.
thank you again for being with Homeschool Hopscotch today. You guys can
Thank
find us
you
on
for having me.
YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest. I mean, we're on all the things, and we look forward to connecting with you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.